You are now watching Believe. Do you believe?
We're back. This is the Horns Up Talking Texas podcast. Joshua Fisher, Nikki Snacks, Kreider, and the Quan Cosby. Get your horns up, cuz here we go. Horns Up Talking Texas podcast. We have a special guest today ahead of the season beginning. Two-time Pro Bowler, one of the greatest safeties in the history of UT football, Natty Championship winner, and second all-time in block kicks in Division I history. Is that true? Word on the street, according to Wikipedia?
That is Wikipedia. I don't know if they, yes. Yeah.
Hey, look, I've been plagiarizing Wikipedia since high school, so I'm riding with it. Cupcake connoisseur, and now you can see him on Longhorn Network. We have Michael Griffin joining the boys. Michael, how you doing today, man?
Doing good. How about yourself?
We are doing great. All right, we were talking a little bit before we hit record and got on air. What are your expectations? We'll start macro heading into the season. We'll start big picture. Obviously, we have Monroe coming up this weekend, and I told you that if we lose this, I'm done with football. Quan, just so you know, I'm done with football. If we lose this weekend, I'm getting into cosplay or something like that. What are your expectations heading into the year? Macro.
I think expectations is, of course, get Bijan going and whatnot. And then trying to find out who your number 2 and who your number 3 receiver is. That's going to be the biggest thing, getting the reps for the offensive line, being that they did lose a key factor, and trying to see, can some of these young guys step it up? Defense side of the ball, that's still a question mark. I mean, it's the fact of you're very thin, you're very young. Your front D linemen are supposed to be your dogs or whatnot, but for me personally, is when I'm watching them, and each and every week you're trying to find a guy that's like a Joseph Osai or a Charles Omenihu or something that that could generate some type of pressure consistently. That's the issue that you don't see. And that's the question that you look at it is, against a team like Louisiana Monroe, do they have the high motor guys that can get after the quarterback? And if you don't, it's going to be a long season for these guys, because the back half, the secondary works hand in hand with the D line. If you could generate pressure, we only got to cover for so long, but we don't have to cover. If we cover for 2, 3, 4 seconds, that should allow you enough time to get to the quarterback and get him off the mark. And that's the one thing that you don't see when it comes to this defensive side of the ball. So we all know that the team is pretty much going to go through Bijan. I can see a lot of teams trying to stack the box, rolling coverage over Xavier Worthy. He's no longer a question mark. He's no longer a incoming freshman that, decommitted from Michigan and came to UT. Everybody knows who he is now. So those 2 guys are going to be the main 2 guys. And I think they're going to say, hey, Quinn Ewers, we putting the ball in your hands. You got to beat us. And so he's going to have some growing pains, but hopefully he grows quicker than, how long the pain is going to last. So that's just pretty much in a nutshell what it's going to be this whole entire season. But going into Louisiana Monroe, you can't look past them and say, hey, let's look at Alabama, because we understand that you still got issues that you have to fix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you bring up the injury, Junior Angalu on the line. Obviously, our offensive line is big but young. Isaiah Nair, who was supposed to be the big incoming transfer at the wide receiver and be our number 2, out for the year. Roshan, who is a guy that we all love on the show, out 4 to 6 weeks from, I think, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. And Q, this is for you too, man. Did you guys ever have to deal with any major injuries going into the season? And if so, how do you guys bounce back from that in the locker room?
I mean, for us, I would say I'm really trying to – I don't think really had big injuries. It was more like off the field issues. Like people got in trouble more than anything. So if I really think about it, it was more like you suspended for a game because you got different situations going on off the field. But I really don't really think about having any injuries. But again, I think we were just so stacked back in the day that, you had guys that were, licking their chops and waiting their opportunity to get on the field. And so I think that was the biggest piece. I think for me as a freshman that got me on the field was Dakari Pearson. He tore his labrum versus Oklahoma, and he came out, which made Philip Giger go to the strong safety position, which then allowed me to move to the nickel position. So he ended up being out for the rest of the season, which allowed me to play the remainder of the season at starting nickel. So again, that was like an easy transition. But we had a bunch of young guys like myself, Terrell Brown and Aaron Ross that were waiting our turn to play. But we still had starters across the board that were still young when Cedric Griffin was a redshirt sophomore. Michael Huff was a redshirt sophomore. Nathan Vasher was a senior. Dakari Pearson was a senior. Philip Giger was a redshirt junior. So Rufus Alexander, all these guys were still young. Matt. So they were still young. So we were still competing for the backup roles. We weren't competing for the starting role. We were competing for the backup roles. And I think that's the difference now, that Sarkisian's doing a great job at recruiting, filling those rooms up with a lot of talent. But right now, a lot of those guys are trying to figure out who can play right now instantly, because to me, it's wide open. I mean, you got a lot of guys that are returning, but you're a 5-win team. And if you're a 5, that pretty much tells us what your resume is. And again, I look at a guy like Coburn, think he's coming back on his 6th year. And if he redshirted 1 year, he came in as the guy, and then he never progressed and got better. My question is, on year 6, what do you expect? If 5 years you've done the same thing? And that's the biggest question for me, is at what point does it click? I think that's the biggest thing, is like, is there guys that's pushing them, or are the coaches going to be loyal to the older guys that decided to return? Or are you going to play the hot hand and the guy that's, doing the most for the team and gives you the best opportunity to win? So I think there's just a lot of different pieces I think that we're going to see definitely in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's an interesting point that you bring up with Coburn, because like you said, he's coming into his 6th year. I mean, what are some factors that could even change your mentality there? I mean, is it coaching, or is it the guys maybe lighting a fire under your ass that are playing below you?
I think it's all the above. I think it's that. I think it's the guy next to him. Like Griff said, it's amazing how much easier it is to be a DB when you have a rack pull coming off the edge, when you have a mini view, when you have all these different cats. And so from a Coburn standpoint, the one kind of throw him a bone piece of it is our edge rushers have been so non-a-factor that
soft.
That you had.
I mean, we had 20 sacks last year. Let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah, that you have a guard and a center that can take him on all day long.
You play what, 10, 11, 12 games? You're averaging.
Our leading sacker had 2.5 sacks. How that cannot happen at the University of Texas.
During our times, you consistently had 10. At least one guy had 10, another one had 7, 8, all the above. Our league guy had 2. That's a problem.
Well, I was going to ask you, Mike. I mean, I know that you're a defensive back, but in terms of a defense, does a D line help the secondary more, or does the secondary help the D line more? Like, what's more important?
I guess what's more important is the foundation, or is it the roof? Which one's more important?
Exactly.
I mean, foundation starts in the trenches, and it's nothing like. And just to go back into history, when you look at a guy like Rod Wright and Marcus Tubbs being in the start. When you look at guys like Tim Crowder, who's getting his reps, you guys like Brian Robinson, just to name Brian Arakpo, who's getting reps, but at the same time is not starting because you got these good guys that's in front of you. And then, you got a Mike Williams and, Derek Johnson, and the list, just Aaron Harris, the list just continue to go on. So when you got all these guys, these dogs in front of you, and everybody's just out there hunting, it makes it that much easier when you're in the secondary. I mean, I had this debate the other night, and we was talking about using the term great or good or whatever too loosely. And I said, okay, they're like the numbers. I'm like, well, we go by the numbers, right? I'm like, Colt McCoy and Vince Young, we can just be honest, who's better? If you go by the numbers, Colt McCoy, the all-time winningest quarterback, but Colt McCoy 4 years. Vince Young played 2.5 because he split time with Chance Mock his first year. But if you go by what they did for the program, if you go back and you're thinking about my history, so you may have to go back and look. But my understanding is back in the day to win a national title, it was votes. But Vince had to play in a national title game to win it against other Heisman Trophy winners. And then I'm like, if you look at the numbers, Aaron Ross, myself, Michael Huff, Cedric Griffin, you're like, who had a better career? You look at numbers, you want to go by tackles, it'd be myself, and touchdowns, Huff, interceptions. I had 8.
Kicks, you.
But go through all these different scenarios by numbers, but then you ask yourself, with everybody playing in the same secondary, Michael Huff won the Thorpe Award. With all this talent around him, he still solidified himself as the best defensive back in the country. But you played with 3 first-rounders, including yourself, and another second-rounder, and Terrell Brown should have been another second rounder. So you solidify yourself, like we was talking about my man for the when we was talking about Jared Judy and everybody else.
Yeah.
But they'll come out as the Heisman Trophy winner, but you're playing with all these other first-rounders. That's when you're saying, like, hey, that player's that good. He solidified himself as the best player. But when you're a good player, but you're like, what's the comparison? What is he out there competing with? And that's where I'm like, when you look at this Texas team, don't get me wrong, they can be players if they mentally say, hey, I want to be the best I can. But again, when you're watching it, you're just trying to figure out who wants it more. Who's hungry? Who just wants to sell out? And a prime example of somebody who did that was Joseph Osai.
Yeah.
It was like a guy that each and every play, he sold himself out. DeMarvion Overshown, unfortunately, he gets banged up towards the end of the season, but he's a guy, when you watch him play, he just sells himself out.
Mm-hmm.
But you looking for those type of guys. Can I get 5? Can I get 6? Can I get 7? 7 of those guys on defense, you have a badass defense.
Yeah.
I mean, they just won the championship on that. They had 7 guys. I mean, who was their quarterback? You know, where everyone's making a big stink on the, look, don't get me twisted. Like, having Quinn in the building is awesome. Getting Arch potential, is going to be great. We have to see these guys play, of course. But Georgia just won the national championship. They beat the Heisman winner on defense. And how many guys go in the first round? And will go in the first round this upcoming year?
Oh, anyway, in the first round, not to mention, you can count the kid from Florida State that got drafted by the Jets. He transferred because he couldn't get on the field.
Right.
And ended up being first rounder. Like, that's the talent that you have. And so when you look, and it's just, again, it was just guys that were just hungry. I mean, Georgia was game the entire game, but they was just hungry the entire time. No different than when we won a national title. It was like, we're losing. Defense, just make a stop.
Mm-hmm.
Just give Vince one more opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you see a team that plays together. It's not about individuals. Yes, Vince got all the glory and everything else, but I guarantee if you're a college coach or NFL coach and scouts, you're trying to figure out, why is that team winning? When you got a Heisman Trophy, but hold on, why is that team winning?
Yeah.
And you're going to look throughout the roster, you're going to say, oh, okay, good, great, potential. You're going to look through that entire team.
100%.
Here, you start seeing that, hey, you keep getting I tell people all the time, I had this conversation again Friday. I was like, you want to know why I played the way I played? And they said, why? I said, because I knew people were coming to turn the film on and watch number 7. When they turned the film on, I wanted them to say, who is number 27? That's why I played. I was like, when I get on the field, just get to the ball. If he's by the ball, I need to be by the ball. If I got a power jump, whatever it is. And that was my mindset. Just stay around the ball, because when they're watching him, I want them to say, hey, listen, who is that guy?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where, I know the NIL deals and all the other stuff is great, whatever. But listen, people coming to watch Ewers play. But while they're coming to watch Ewers play, I will be out there each and every day. Hey, Ewers, want to throw the balls some more?
Right.
I promise you, that's how I roll.
But that's also, that's just a different mindset. I laugh because, and I remember talking very early to Sark, and he was like, what do you think, Q? I said, you'll look out there, they have the measurables, but if you can get between their ears, you're going to have a pretty damn good squad. And that's what it is. That mindset is why you had the success you did and why the teams we had the success we did. And so, and the realness of the numbers debate, that's a media thing too. All they do is look at numbers. Oh, but his numbers is this. They have the best numbers. They're the best team of all time because of the numbers. Man, we were a total different offense. It was a total different offense what I had with Vince and what I had with Colt. I get the question all the time, who was your favorite quarterback? And I'm like, that's weird. Well, I caught 200 more balls from Colt, but shit, what we did with Vince is what it's about. You know, we won a natty. Like that's a weird.
Exactly. And that's it. You're comparing apples and oranges because you say who's better. It's like, who do you build a team around? It's like, well, maybe I could do less with Vince because I know what he's capable of doing. And I tell you all the time, you can look at Vince, you can look at Roy Williams and look at his numbers when he had Chris Sims and when he had Vince. It was different.
Yeah.
The offense changed.
Yeah.
When we went to Vince started, we went from being under the center every play to now we in shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Selvin and Cedric Benson. Cedric was used to having a fullback in front of him. As soon as he was gone, Vince went straight back to shotgun and was like, here we go. Hey, Jamal, Ramon Taylor, Selvin,
Jamal Charles,
Henry Melton, everybody.
We had a 3 running back rotation. Everybody gets some. And we go, Vince, look at the DN or the outside linebacker. He come to you, let it go. If he don't come, keep it. Hey, you run an over route, whatever. It was a different offense.
It was a different offense, yeah.
If you want to look at the numbers too, you could even just see it's a different offense. Cedric Benson is like, what, he had 1,900 yards almost? And then he's gone, and then no other running back has over 1,000. Vince has 1,000, but no other running back has over 1,000. You want to look at the numbers.
The game, Vince rushed for 200 and threw for 200.
Insane.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the recruiting game too, though. I mean, we've lost the luster of recruiting. And I actually wanted to ask you, I mean, you're an Austin guy. You went to Bowie, and we're losing out on Austin products, right? Guys from Lake Travis go to Ohio State, Westlake go to Clemson. Like we need to take back Austin if we want to win some of that recruiting.
Well, the thing is that, and I hate when people say this is Texas, because I ask them, what does that mean?
Right.
Like, what does it mean? What meaning does it have? And it's one of those things that you live in the past or whatever it may be. But I think the biggest thing is you start winning, everything comes along with it. When you win, everybody wants to come. Everybody wants to jump on the bandwagon. That's just how it goes. But when you're losing, you want to go to Clemson? Why? They win it. When they go out, why? They win it. You want to go to Alabama? Why? They win it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a wide receiver, why would you not go to Ohio State?
Why?
How many guys they just sent in the first round? And that wasn't even the best guy on the team. The best receiver on the team wasn't even like, look, Garrett Wilson's an Austin kid, but like, he just was a 10th overall pick.
And that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But winning, it's not a question.
So how do we change? Because we've gotten how many top 10 recruits? Yeah. How
You
do you
win.
do it? Yeah, but like, what's the
secret sauce?
Is Gary Patterson going to be the guy to help it? How much effect is he going to have, in your opinion, defensive guy? Is he going to be the one that changes?
Changes what though? You gotta have the mind. You gotta be willing to say, like, listen, like I was 183 pounds my last game in college. 183 pounds. But you wouldn't know because I didn't care. Like, listen, everything I do is for my team.
Quan, I laugh. Same thing. I laugh. How many people I still meet today? They're like, damn, I thought you were bigger than that. Good. That's exactly what I want to know.
You played bigger than that.
Appreciate that.
I went to lunch with you, Q, and I was like, we're like this, I'm almost the same height as you.
Yeah. That's not how I played.
And I was the one, and I was the 180. I was 183 my senior year, a different 183 than you were. That's for damn sure.
Like literally, when we went to go play USC, when we went to go play Michigan, if y'all would have looked over there and looked at us, y'all would have been like, ain't no way in hell we about to win that game.
Yeah.
Literally, ain't no way. There's no way they can win that game. It's just no way. We were our whole defensive back. We were little. Our linebackers was like 202, 205. Our D line was big, but everybody in the back half was little.
Like, how many guys on that roster went to the pros?
On
dude,
all of them.
So many.
Everybody but A Ross. I mean, not A Ross. A Harris. Everybody but A. Harris and maybe
Everybody-
Killebrew. Yeah. Yeah, that was it.
The whole roster, everybody. And it just, you cut on the film. I promise you, I went to my first NFL meeting. I walked in and they said, wait a minute. Why are you so little? Like, you look bigger. Like, now it's just a shoulder pad. You used to put big shoulders on, but small thigh pad. It was different. But literally, it did not matter. And I laughed because I spoke to recruiters right now in Texas. I was like, y'all wouldn't recruit me, would y'all? They was like, nah, you was too little. I said, but see, the way that you look at it, you got to just go find football players.
You got to find football players. That's it in a nutshell. When Texas is good, they have Texas football players.
Just football players. Like, you can go out to a game and watch a high school game and be like, oh, he could play. Ooh, why they recruiting him?
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
It's not rocket science.
Well, if you're looking for it in any sport, if you're looking for a guy that can play the game in any sport and not just size and athleticism, you'll find a guy. I mean, we were at not even football related. We were at the summer league. Remember, Nick? We were at Vegas summer league. Jaden Hardy, a second-round pick, came out for the Mavs. And you knew right then and there he was going to be good because you could see a guy play. If you watch a guy play, it's not, if you're looking for that, not looking for his size, you'll be able to find it.
Because naturally you go and you want to look at the eyeball test. You look around and you're like, oh, okay, look, let me go check them out. They look, I promise you, Maynard right now. Maynard High School has like 11 D1 prospects. When I tell you, they legit look like D1 prospects.
Yeah.
Bowie High School has, I don't think they have anybody like a D1 prospect. But when Maynard barely beat them in a scrimmage, and it was all because, oh, y'all are very well coached. These dudes out here just, like, I did not see just a football player. I just saw everybody out there that just passed the eyeball test.
Yep.
The kid, the Maynard running back is committed to USC, and I'm trying to find out, like, why? He has the look, don't get me wrong, but I'm watching him and I'm trying to see what, like, I'm comparing him to what I've seen in the past, even myself playing running back in high school. Yeah. And I'm trying to figure out what it is that he does that just, I'm just trying to see it. And I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Game has changed for sure.
And, like, but the look, oh my God, he looked phenomenal. Like, if you just give him a scholarship on what he looks like. Now, maybe I'm wrong when the season gets going or whatever, but they hyped the court. There was 2 quarterbacks out there. They got hyped up, and I'm trying to just see it. And I could not see it.
Mm-hmm.
They've been like that for a while. I played against them in high school. They had like 10 D1 prospects, and we had 1, and we beat the brakes off them.
And again, I'm just trying to see what it is. And it's like,
I think it also, I know what a certain portion of what it is, and it's where I think we fell into when we left. I think UT fell into this a little bit, paying way too much damn attention to these sites. Nah, man, you got to go find the dudes. You have to show up, watch the film, watch the game, and see that football player out there versus these lists that come out every year and trust in them.
See, the thing I do when I watch film, right? This is something I do, especially LA Champ. What I do. The reason why y'all ask me, do I go to practice? I don't go to practice. Why I don't go to practice? Because I know how good the defense is. So if you're a receiver, you out there looking great. If you're the D line and you're getting sacks on the quarterback, that's not telling me nothing. So now when I go back and I watch the film, and I watch you against other teams, now I can get an idea of what you are. Exactly. And if I'm watching, you versus Arkansas, and I watch, okay, this team is supposed to be really good. Let me see what you do against this team. Now let me watch you against the bad team. If you look like an all-star versus the bad team, but then when you meet your match, and you don't know how to, like, okay, we even out. Let's see how this is going to go out. You got a bunch of dogs, and we're going to fight to the end. Right. Then that's what I watch. Casey Thompson, great quarterback. But I always, to me, and I'm just saying this, it was almost one of those things that when things were going good, he was good. But then when things got bad, the thumb always came back up. And I was like, at what point do we stop worrying about the thumb?
Either if you're too hurt to play, don't play then at that point.
My point
Because the thumb was fine in the first half.
I mean, he threw for 300 yards versus OU, then the thumb hurts. And I'm like, wait a minute. The thumb, you want to talk about the thumb all season? Right. And so that's what I look at is like little things like that. People don't even know. Terrell Brown played with a broke toe corner for an entire season.
Ugh.
And he started a broke toe.
That's crazy.
But no one said it wasn't nothing that we said.
And I tell you, I would say the same thing. And this is where I give it to Coach Campbell. That slogan was huge. 5-star culture versus 5-star players. That's the big difference.
Oh, yeah.
We were getting the 5 stars recruiting wise, although we did kind of lose one of Herman's classes, but we've been getting these names. Dude, back in our day, Colt McCoy, speaking of him, winning his college quarterback, was a 2A dude. J. Mike, 3A dude. We were getting 2A to 5A dogs and football players.
Honestly, I cannot name maybe 2, 3. I would say 3 players out of everybody we played with. 3, maybe 4. 4 possibly were top of like the class that were like what they were. And then you had guys that were like right here, like Michael Huff. I think he only had like 2 scholarship offers.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Thorpe winner. Can't believe that.
Terrell Brown.
Yeah,
Bro,
we talk about all the time. We have Baylor and Oklahoma State in the Big 12 not OU, not us, and we out recruit them every year. It's development. That's all it is.
It goes back to numbers and it goes back on a piece of paper. It is what it is. But I mean, let's just be honest. Let's just be honest. When you look at the Oklahoma State, their players, the way they're built and the way they look, to me, they look more impressive.
Oh yeah, they look the part every single year.
They look more athletic. They look like the way they play.
Mm-hmm.
TCU look like the way like they athletes. They look the part. We got the big dudes, we got the big names, but it's like, okay.
We don't have the Turpins, and we see what Turpin's doing in preseason in the league. That dude is 140 soaking wet, but he's a dog. Absolute dog.
Hypothetically speaking, you look at Deuce Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all can't tell me he passed the eyeball test.
No way.
No.
He's Darren Sproles 2.0.
But on the field, though,
Woo.
on the field, he's shaking and begging, and he getting in the end zone.
He a ball player.
He's single-handedly taking on teams, and he the littlest guy out there.
Yeah.
And his
That's
dad,
what we need.
that's what I'm saying. All this looking at numbers and stuff, looking at this, screw that.
It's not about that anymore. I mean, you look at fantasy football drafts right now. Austin Eckler's going in the top 3, and he's 5'6", 5'7", maybe on a good day.
I mean, he's a guy that came out of nowhere, and you're like, nobody know what school he went to?
Somewhere in Colorado. I don't know which one it is.
North Colorado. I mean, we know Austin. We saw him at the Super Bowl.
He's undrafted though. Undrafted. He's going
at the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Top 3 right now in fantasy football drafts.
Yeah.
Crazy. Are there guys though? Like, I mean, you brought up Overshawn. You brought up Osai. Osai is a guy we brought up last show, and quite frankly, if Osai had the talent around him, he probably would have been a first-round pick himself because he was that skilled and he would have been amplified a little bit.
I think he was still he was skilled, but he was still raw.
Yeah.
He was still
also they weren't sure about the position, honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
He kind of stood up, and then they played him at linebacker and all kinds of stuff. So it was all of that factored in.
He was very raw. He was a raw talented player. But he was a guy that, hey, if I want to get to the quarterback, I'm gonna get there. Don't know how I'm gonna get there.
Which again, that's it in a nutshell. It's like they didn't even really know. No, Herman couldn't even tell you what position Osai was most of the time. But what everybody knew is Osai was making a lot of plays every single game to the point of just being that dog and wanting at that level. That's the weird piece about it. And that the combination of that and the depth, because I laugh and we would play Oklahoma and even Jackson. A lot of these cats, second round, third round dudes talking that crap. Oh no, man, it's going down. I said, no, man. I literally said this in the game. I said, man, I look forward to game day. I'm facing you. You know who I've been practicing against all week? You see our DBs over there, all first rounders. I said, this is fun. I'm not even a little bit worried about you. And I think that's some of that development, recruiting, culture stuff that Sark is not gonna. Not that we're saying they're gonna do terrible, because the Big 12 is suspect as it is this year, but Sark don't necessarily have that luxury right now going into year 2 of competing at the highest level. You saw him at Bama. Y'all were talking about it earlier, and we talked about it earlier. Devontae Smith, he had Waddle. He had dudes across the way.
You had 2 first-round QBs, the first-round offensive line. I mean, they still like. I mean, just what the numbers are saying. I think we're top 8 in like percent likelihood to make the playoff, which is crazy.
What? Say that one more time.
They're like, I think there's like, they just put it out on ESPN. The top percent likelihood to make the playoffs.
Best chances to make. Yeah.
Best chances. Ohio State.
And somebody gave Texas a rank 1 vote too.
I still want to know that. I don't care. I just want to know.
It might be Josh over here drinking the Kool-Aid.
Well, no, okay. I'm not gonna. I'm done drinking the Kool-Aid, and apparently, I'm like putting the sippy cup away.
I think.
You think it was who?
I think it was Saban.
I do too.
You think so?
Oh, yeah, I think Saban has that level of petty.
I'm not gonna pick a team in the SEC. I'm just gonna throw in that. Let me be funny.
Yeah.
That is funny. Yeah, it's probably Saban.
He's the only person I think that would do something, because
I agree.
He's like the Bill Belichick of college football. Like, do what you want to do.
Yeah.
I can do what I want to do. It doesn't matter.
And I'm gonna tell you, I think he picked him for that reason. He is playing us this year. Sark did take 4 of his. There's a million reasons why I think he would do that for funny. The only other one I would think would be Jimbo, but Jimbo wouldn't, because if A&M heard about it, even though it means nothing, they cry for years.
Yeah,
but I think Saban don't give 2 you know whats, and I agree.
And he got a raise. Yeah, it was Saban.
Oh yeah. He's the highest paid again.
Oh.
Jimbo probably thinks if we get 1 first place vote, then they're gonna lose recruits to us.
No, you're exactly right. Saban's not worried about that. Saban he's more worried about that NIL money on top of the table than he is about anything else. He's just gonna go win him another one.
Right.
That's true. But I think Saban is slightly nervous about Texas that game. I think he's slightly nervous.
Well, you have to be a little.
I'm nervous.
Well, no, like shouldn't you be though?
I'm actually not, because I don't have any expectations.
Well, exactly. That's the point, though. There's nothing to lose.
The reason why I think, because the question is, do you come in as Alabama? Do you come in this game so hyped and like you just do too much that ends up biting you in the tail?
Yeah,
I say that because we can go back to the LSU game, and that was LSU toughest game all season.
Oh yeah,
and all of the fact that, like, one, they couldn't stop. Devin Duvernay had a hell of a game, but they couldn't stop the slot.
Right.
And their DBs, they had so many first rounders on their team, but they just could not figure it out. It was something that they just could not figure out. And I think they were just so caught up in the DBU and all this extra crazy stuff that was going on around it that they just, it spooked them. And I think from there, it made them a better team, because I think they went into the game like, who are we playing there? The receiver, I think they had little to no expectations for Texas to come out as a dogfight. Now, the difference was Arkansas came into the game last year ready to slap Texas in the mouth.
Yeah, they did.
That was insane.
And that was different, because I even told them, I don't think y'all understand the rivalry that Texas.
They had no idea what they were going to.
Good, what was going into that game.
Well, and bigger than that, no idea what they were going to. And also, they don't really have that dog mentality.
I really feel like they did not
kill me on the road.
memo that they was going into a hostile environment. And I don't think this Texas team ever, and I even go back to, I don't even think Sark even felt that type of, because I don't think he didn't know.
Right.
You have a team, you had Casey Thompson, who's from Oklahoma. He don't know what goes on in that game. Xavier Worthy, Bijan, they don't know nothing about the Texas and Arkansas history.
Right.
Yeah.
And they go into this game not knowing they got a rude awakening when they see the Texas versus A&M in the future. They don't understand what that really was like. Because they never, you got to think, as recruits, we used to come back and watch it and see how it was. And every day on Thanksgiving, 11 o'clock game, you eating your food, and you in high school, you watching that game. And I don't think they quite understood. I think the OU in Texas, I don't think it'll ever get back to when it was Mac Brown versus Stoops. That was like a crazy era.
Right.
That was crazy. I think now with the whole, I think what's the name?
Venables and
Lincoln Riley's got tired of facing new coaches every year. Like, it just got old to him. Like, they over there, what am I gonna do? It wasn't the same. But when they go back to playing at Arkansas, whatever, I don't think the coaches are gonna understand it. And definitely the players are not going to understand it, because a lot of them, they didn't grow up watching it. Yeah. And what happens, the fans are going to be so much into it, they ain't going to know what to do.
Right.
That game was over before it started.
It was ridiculous. As it stands right now, on whether you look at one sports book or the other, we're a 16 to 17 point underdog in this game. I mean, Bama wants to beat the brakes off us. They want to blow us up by 30 points. There probably are going to be guys out there that just want to do too much, that want to take control and be the guy who destroys Texas. But I don't know. This is definitely, it could be a trap game.
The thing is, it's we all know Alabama's quarterback last year didn't play as good as they thought he was going to be off the rip. He's a good quarterback, but he didn't play the way that they thought.
He still won the Heisman.
He still won the Heisman, but he didn't play. There was games in there where they was questioning whether he lost the Heisman or not.
Yeah, there was. There was like 2 or 3
games.
He was
suspect.
It was suspect. There was some
championship game, the most important game of the year.
And he did not look. He looked just like the ones before. They all look alike, but he didn't play like them dudes played. But not to mention the running back position, the receiver position. All those positions are not what they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think where Saban is getting with Alabama and a lot of these others. And plus, you know how this NIL thing is working. A lot of players are not going to a school they would normally go to. They're going to the school that's going to pay them the most money. So with all this going on, I don't know if Alabama is still the team that they used to be. And being the fact of now it's kind of a question mark on, are they as good as what they were? And if they're not, can Texas somehow, some way, and to me, the key factor in that game is going to have to be Jordan Whittington. Yeah. Like by all calls, they're going to have to make sure he gets through this Louisiana Monroe game, but he's going to have the key factor in that game. He has to be at that slot position. He's going to have to be the Devin Duvernay, the guy that can take the hits, take the pounding, deliver them. He's going to have to be the guy.
Yeah.
He has to be the guy.
I mean, they're gonna keep X, they're gonna keep Bijan, they're gonna keep Billingsley because that's their transfer and they want to blow his top off. Whittington's got to be that guy.
Whittington has to.
Yeah.
And to me, I think it's just going to be a high scoring game. I really do.
That could loan in our favor. Clearly, I mean, their defense they're number one because of their defense. Obviously, they have Bryce Young, but they're number one because they have Will Anderson Jr.
They
and
D-line,
Dow-
yeah.
and then D-line. And then, I mean, honestly, it sounds like we have a first-time caller, long-time listener, because we've been Whittington's number one fan club. It's been like a hell thing, though, for like, I mean, all that.
We've
but
been
the thing is,
trying to be his number one fan.
I know, dude. I'm
He
trying to,
making
I'm
it
like
tough
in the
'cause he won't stay on
stands.
the
I
field.
know. But
Gotta
like,
be
but
healthy.
when he went down, like our team started to crumble last year. He was like one of the biggest losses.
He
The
was.
off-
He was like, because again, everybody was young. He probably had the most playing time out of everybody, if you really think about it. Yes,
Sure.
he sprinkled in here and there, but every year he gets banged up here and there. And you just saw versus the Arkansas game, he was doing some great things, some great catches or whatever. He got knocked down, but when he was in the game, his presence is felt. And he's going to have to be the guy that and Sark said this earlier this year or over the spring, that he's done all the right things, that he's starting to take the game very seriously. His mindset is different or whatever. So hopefully that everything holds true and he's just able to stay healthy. But again, he's going to have to be a key factor. Nair would have been a great factor in this game.
Stretch the field, get long.
Definitely. But again, you're going to have to find somebody. I mean, it's just going to have to be a point where you're going to have to find enough playmakers. It's going to have to be enough.
And
you're going to have a lot of young guys step up that don't have a lot of playing time.
And to that point of Whittington, he hasn't had a big sample size to show NFL recruiters that he can play. So he's got to prove it this year. Big time.
He had a ball out. It's a contract year for him.
Jatavion Sanders too. I think he's going to be a factor. I
Him
mean,
and Witt during that Bama game, I think are going to be key.
Who has that dog mentality, especially on the offensive side of the ball, I would probably go with Jatavion Sanders. The fact that he's played defense and the guy that stuck it out on the aspect he wanted to be a tight end. And you watch him in the spring game, catch the ball, deliver hits, he's going to bring it. So again, if they can somehow, some way just figure it out, and I think if you jump on Alabama quick, that would be the biggest thing. If you let them get up early, it's gonna get ugly. It's gonna get ugly quick.
Yeah, but also if we get up early, we can't let up, because I could totally see Texas jumping out to a 14-0 lead and being like, we're pretty damn good.
Well, we've seen that movie though. So hopefully they've made the change.
I hate that movie.
And so hopefully they made the changes that they needed to make.
It's the
Hit
worst
him with
movie.
it, Josh.
Yeah. All right. Mike G, ask everybody this, man. Every Longhorn that comes through. Could be you playing, just you and Austin, anything. But what's your favorite memory as a Longhorn?
Favorite memory as a Longhorn?
On the field, off the field, you name it. Just favorite memory.
Could be a hilarious story involving Q. Anything, dude.
Favorite memory as a Longhorn. It might have been Q. Was you there when we played Colorado and Cedric Griffin and Vince Young got into like the fight right before we walked out to go beat the crap out of Colorado?
I'm pretty sure
it was all because of Michael Huff.
No, that may have been the year before then, because I remember that.
Quick story. We're in the locker room. Vince is getting changed. We're like, Colorado's visiting locker room is the smallest locker room ever. So Vince is getting changed. Our lockers is like, we're all like in this little, it's like you're like literally trying to like, okay, you put your pads on, I put my pads. You can't do it at the same time.
Yeah.
So Huff keeps tapping Vince, and Vince would turn around and say to just be standing there looking like this. And Vince would turn around, like start putting stuff on again. Huff would tap him again. Vince would turn around like, hey man, stop playing around. Instead, he's not saying nothing. He's just staring at him. So he turns back around. Huff taps him again, turns back around. Vince was like, do it again, I'm gonna whoop your ass. Says like, all right, cool. He turns back around. Huff taps him again. He turns around. They start fighting. Mac Brown blows the whistle. Mad Dog blows the whistle. Let's go. We go right out like nothing ever happened. All out of Colorado. And then come right back in the locker room. Like, I'm like, what just happened?
No, you
It's
know what? I wasn't on that one.
Dude, that might have been the funniest thing ever because we had so much stuff that used to happen in the storm.
Yeah.
But you knew we kept it all in the house with the team, and it was all fun.
Yeah.
It might not be, and it was like once it happened, it was done. Like it wasn't no animosity. It wasn't gonna keep going. It wasn't something that you was gonna like laugh.
There's no grudges about it, really. You just got it going and moved on.
It's like you hanging out with your brothers and you and your brothers getting a little altercation and y'all fight. But it's like, I'm gonna fight you, but I'm not gonna fight you to hurt you.
Yeah.
That's all it was. Like, we're gonna fight, but I'm just gonna really show you like I'm stronger than you, and then we're done. That's how the team used to be. But
it really was.
I think another one might have been I think the funniest thing, you remember this when Marcus Myers played fullback and I used to let him on purpose.
Yes, I do.
What he say that one day in practice? Just stop hitting me.
Y'all don't know Marcus Myers was a fullback. Marcus was from the Austin area too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he started out as a linebacker, then he went over to fullback. And they used to run this play action pass, fullback go to the flat. I had a man-to-man, but I would always act like I wasn't watching him. Like I just bit on the play action and started running out. But the quarterback always checked down to him. And as soon as he turned around, and Mac practice was like live practice, I would just lift him up off his feet. And we would be in our meeting room watching the play every day and laughing. Like, why are you doing this to him? I said, I'm waiting for him to try to run me over, and he would never do it.
Nope.
But
he was in tears, mad that day.
He was mad. He told me to stop. And the next day in practice, I let him catch it again, and I did it again.
Jesus.
That's not a linebacker mentality.
That's why he went to fullback.
That's not a fullback mentality.
That's a water boy. Yeah.
No comment.
Mike, yeah. Mike, man, thank
right after that.
Thank you so much for joining us, man. We'll keep an eye out for your Longhorn Network, man. It was great having you, brother.
Go get some cupcakes.
Yes.
Gigi's Cupcakes off of 620-71 BKs, and stop drinking the Kool-Aid.
Okay.
Hey,
I'll stop. Yeah, what else you got going on?
You got the cupcakes. Anything else people need to support? Take care of.
Brian Arakpo and Brian Henson, we just shot a reality TV show. It will be on Roku. They're trying to stream a platform like Netflix. It should come out the first quarter of 2023.
Nice.
Got our like quote unquote acting / real life situations, family.
Yeah.
And by the way, Quan, the daughter's playing football. Made 18.
Nice.
18.
She's a beast in soccer, by the way. You're talking your oldest daughter, right?
Yeah. At 18.
Yeah.
She's 12 years old, 5'7", 141. Out there running back.
5'7". Damn. It's Austin Eckler out there.
Yeah.
Out there, but it's just funny. I went to watch, they did like, Oklahoma drill type thing. And she do like I do. She just like, come on, get ready to wrap up. And then she just run through them. I'm like, get like that. But exciting. Our first game's next week. So
that's real.
Yeah, out there being
tell her good luck, man, and eat them boys up.
Jesus, yeah.
And
Go get some cupcakes, and I'll stop drinking the Kool-Aid if you send us some cupcakes for sure, man.
Make them earn it. This thing, make them earn your drinking. Don't make it yourself. Make them make it, and then you sip on it.
If everything goes well, I'll buy you some more. I'll buy you some more Kool-Aid.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kool-Aid flavored cupcakes.
I'll have Keith send my address. All right, Horns fans. Michael Griffin joined us, the Quan Cosby. I'm Joshua Fisher, and that was Nikki Snacks Crider. Hook 'em Horns. Let's go get that W this weekend.
Yes, sir.